you love, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Yo, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, returning from assignment. Joining me this week is Debhausen, the great and powerful Tony Justice, the greatest truck driver of all time, and special guest host, Andre the Producing Giant. What's up, people?
Hey, everybody.
What's up?
What's happening?
I have a ton of feelings, and I need a therapy session with y'all because this has been one crazy week in professional wrestling.
It's been insane. It's been insane. So I've been gone for like 3 weeks, right? So my wife and I took a long vacation to Europe. We went to Lisbon, we went to Barcelona, then we took a 2-week transatlantic cruise. But I was able to keep up with like social media, and you guys were sending me stuff, and I was able to keep up. So much shit happened. Like I wasn't able to catch up with all of it. But over the weekend, we got a chance to watch a lot of stuff. Like this past week alone, since I've been back, Raw and SmackDown, Blood and Guts, TNA, like every brand that's out there right now is doing like big stuff that we have to talk about. And I agree with you, Andre. I have feelings as well. And this is not Sam Live, unfortunately. But we'll work our way through. There is so much to cover this week. I did want to thank you, Andre, for joining us. As everybody knows, you're a big part of Busted Open. With the channel going 24/7, you're all over the place now.
And of course, I appreciate that you guys are giving me a place to just vent out, because this week's a doozy for me. Quite the emotional roller coaster. We got the Great Adventure package here, a whole bunch of roller coaster rides from Monday all the way until Friday night.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you have the key card. You're welcome here anytime, brother.
Yep, and I'm just swiping on in.
Hey, I didn't give him the key card. I don't know where he got it. So
I know a guy.
So there's a lot of big stuff going on, but I really want to talk about Wednesday night. I really want to talk about Blood and Guts, because I feel like I have been out of touch with the AEW product for a while now. But over the last few weeks before I went on vacation, I started watching more with you guys and realizing that they're really bringing some longer term storytelling, some slow paced development. I feel like as a product, they've gotten so much better this last year. And this show this week was insane. I feel like one of the missing components for AEW has been a lot of attention for the women's roster. Not that the talent isn't there, but they haven't really been given, in my mind, since the Britt and Thunder thing, really been given a lot of attention. You've had your Tony, you've had your Mariah May, but this week, it was like a statement. It was like a major statement. So I want to get your feelings. I feel like the women were the stars of this show.
This was the proper spotlight that each and every one of those 12 ladies needed. And yes, you're right. For a while, it's always been, let's keep an eye on this one star we love and whoever they're feuding with. And it's always been like the power of two, so to speak. We'll always have like a marquee matchup, like you were mentioning, Thunder Britt, like we were saying, like Tony Mariah. Now we're in this big circle of power vacuum here, because right now the belts are parked on really credible people that need credible challengers. So what way to get all that division into everybody's minds, everybody's eyes, to get everybody emotionally invested as they are trying to find the new challenger for Chris Statlander, find a new challenger for Mercedes Moné, who's currently at 12, and maybe by the end of this night might be up to 13 and 14. We don't know. Anytime that Mercedes Moné hits the road, she ends up being a champion elsewhere. So currently, I think we're at 12 now. So that's where we're going with this. And now you have to find, as AEW and as a fan, who am I siding with here as the one that's going to be the one to either take down this 12 title beast in Mercedes Moné, or who's going to be the one to really step up and go for the top crown? It's a big question mark. And for months, we've always been pondering. We've seen start-stops. We've seen little quick spotlights. We've seen dominating runs in ROH that just hasn't found its way into Dynamite or Collision storytelling. What way now that you get all 12 of them into one match that everyone wants to see with the exact piece that brought AEW to the game of pro wrestling, blood and guts. You put now 12 of these ladies for the first time ever in the showcase of showcases, where there is permission from not only the higher ups, not only from the wrestlers themselves, but also from the crowd, because a lot of the crowd, you have to balance out how much blood you're going in. Because if you're going into a show, not everyone's going to be like me or some of us here that are the GCW faithful that are down for a bloodbath every week. Not everybody's like that. You got to make the blood mean something. And if it means something, then we got to look long term on how much definition that blood can give. And there you go. How many Crimson Masks did we see Wednesday night? That's what Blood and Guts does. Now we have on the top of our mind Sky Blue, Willow Nightingale, Mina Shirakawa, Megan Bain, to name a few of those who have really, really bled. Those are names etched in my brain now if they weren't already. And these are names that I want to see moving forward up to Full Gear next week, up to Worlds End in a month's time, all the way to Revolution next year.
Yeah. So I have a couple. Go ahead, front row.
No, I was going to ask you a specific question because I wanted your opinion on who the standout performers were from this match, because I feel like there were a few people that the match really leads into longer term development for their character.
So for Spotlight of the Night, kudos definitely to Sky Blue. A lot of people are throwing flack at her, saying, "Oh, first 5 minutes of the match, she's bleeding." This is Blood and Guts, y'all. If you haven't known from the get-go, this match was created so that there is carnage that happens for 30 minutes minimum before the bell actually rings and you can actually get a decision. That is how the great Dusty Rhodes designed War Games, which has finally found its way into AWS Blood and Guts. So if you go by its original mindset into what this match is, it's all about that carnage. You want to see that blood. You want to see people unexpectedly just bring out the primal instinct, the animal in them. And you know who did that? Sky Blue. Sky Blue, hands down. Whole other levels and depths that we haven't been able to see before just came out of her that night. And also, freaking Chris Statlander going through the bed of nails.
Yeah, that was...
Remember, let's go back to Blood and Guts last year. The biggest moment from Blood and Guts was Moxley getting the freaking baseball bat with nails on it, swung onto his back, and those getting lodged in there. And it was really stuck. And then they spent the next 2 or 3 minutes just trying to wiggle out and take it out. Chris Statlander was able to take that little spot and blow it up all across her back and make the whole body just react to that same type of pain and really make you seethe and cringe. And that's the stuff that I love. So Chris Statlander definitely got 2 thumbs up from me. Now let's talk long term, because this is the big moments of your night, but now we're looking into the long end of things. Now we're looking into what I was saying earlier. We're looking up to Revolution here. Timeless Tony Storm gave up out of love to Mina Shirakawa. Whatever that means, I have so many thoughts and so many directions on where it goes, because it can lead to a love, a love, hate, a hate, different type of scenarios here. The tinfoil's ringing on it. But when it comes to Timeless Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa, this is a bond that is now etched into the lore of this women's division as something either that as a babyface could let them build and grow stronger, or for the heels to really take advantage on. So that's something that's got me keeping an eye on for the next couple of weeks, is this relationship between Timeless Tony Storm and who she proclaims is her wife, Mina Shirakawa.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. And Deb, so for you, who are the standouts and what do we have? What are we looking forward to?
So I have a couple things, especially to kind of piggyback off of what Andre just said. As far as multiple different things happening in that match that pushes the story along, and even has implications through the tag team tournament. so something I rewatched it a couple hours ago, so it was fresh in my head again. And a couple things that they said on commentary that really struck out to me, because a lot of times when I'm watching, I'm not listening to commentary because I'm on Zoom with you guys, so I have an earbud in one ear and I have the TV volume a little bit lower. So I think there's oftentimes a lot of things on commentary that I end up missing. But a couple things that they said stuck out in me, and is very much in relation to what Andre just said. So at the end of the match, Excalibur said they identified the weakness in the opposition, and it's the relationship between Timeless Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa. And then Brian Danielson, said, when you do
Come on, Deb.
it's automatic. I can't help it. It's still. So yeah, Brian said, when you do love somebody, you'll protect them with all of your life. I don't blame Tony Storm there at all. And so yeah, there's definitely that element that has a lot of implications going forward in other storylines that are happening, and also specifically with Mercedes and Stat as well. Like you said, when Mercedes made her entrance, Brian said on commentary that her motive in this match is to attack Stat and weaken her, and even pointed out during the match, like, Mercedes is not touching anyone else. She is attacking Stat. And so there was a lot of elements in that match that has implications elsewhere. I completely agree. Sky Blue was obviously the standout in the match. Like you said, within 5 minutes she was bleeding, and she made the statement of that. And I'm wearing this shirt because I watched this match earlier this afternoon, right before I rewatched Blood and Guts, from the King of the Deathmatch tournament, August 20th, 1995 in Japan. That match was only like 10 minutes long, and Mick Foley was bleeding within a minute. So, I mean, if people are going to get all up in arms because she was bleeding within 5 minutes of the match, I think, and I even said this on Twitter in response to something Dave had said on Busted Open the other day about people with pearl clutching these days. I think it's because there's a whole lot of fans who pretty much have only limitedly been exposed to PG WWE wrestling and have been conditioned to feel like that is what's real wrestling, and this is not real wrestling. And so there's a lot of scrutiny on it, and I think it's extremely unwarranted because this kind of wrestling has been going on for decades and decades and decades, and has a lot of history in the business.
And key to wrestling,
and if you're
variety. If you have that variety, then we have that fun of being able to bounce from one into the other. I get it. Everybody wants to have this dream of just going to one place, one hub, and be like, this is my wrestling. This is what I profess, and everything's there. But with how much variety wrestling has and what types of matches, what types of styles that are available, it is inevitable that we are going to have a whole lot more of these different promotions and styles there. So instead of just saying this way is wrong, my way is right, take it like the buffet. Wrestling is the golden corral of sports and entertainment. If you like it, I'm happy you tried it, and now I'll serve you more. If it's not your cup of tea, please just watch the match. And if it ain't your thing, totally get it. The story continues. You can skip this little beat of it, and we could push forward. It's as easy as that.
And if you're watching if you're watching a show called Blood and Guts and you're complaining that there's blood on the Blood and Guts show, maybe you didn't read the caption. And since John's not here, GFY.
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, and it's different styles, and we all have our preferences. I certainly have my preferences, and there's some other styles of wrestling that are not my favorite. But everybody has their styles and preferences, and just because it's not your preference doesn't mean it shouldn't exist.
Right.
This is a fair complaint. I didn't see any guts. So Tony, I want to ask a question. So, like, one of the standouts from this match was, and someone that's been a big standout since the inception of the Death Riders is obviously Marina Shafir, right?
Mm-hmm.
This match was made for her to shine. I mean, she was
and
brutal.
she did.
She was violent. She was like dipping her feet in the glass. Like it was just like, so for me, and I know we talk about this a lot of times, like some of the confusion with Moxley early on with the Death Riders. I want to see a world where she just takes over the group. I think this match put her in that position.
Yeah, I mean, she was, surgical in some of the things she was doing in that match. I mean, specifically sticking her feet in the glass to get the glass just to torture Mina Shirakawa with it, and the bed of nail spot with Chris Statlander. I mean, Marina, every time she comes out, she just has that look about I'm gonna whip somebody's ass, and it's just I see her as a leader. I mean, she's just her gaze. It's just it's she means business. And as Mongrovian Mike found out last week, she really means business. But anyway, so yeah, I mean that there, and there's also a thing that we're kind of seeing right now with Mox has given up like twice recently, and ever since Pac come back, and Pac was the one that took Darby out in the flaming table spot. So are we going to see a power struggle between Pac and Mox?
That's an important note to hold on to. That's what we got to look at moving forward, is how much of a power struggle this is. I am a person that for 9 out of maybe 12 of Moxley's reign said I wanted this Death Rider story to end. And I'm still in that camp. If it's just going to be Moxley as being like the main front and center, and he's just coming out here going from one feud to the other. Now, what if that power vacuum does happen, and it looks like it will? And then now you got Wheeler Yuta saying, I've been here since day one. I've stepped up. This is my place to be. You got Claudio saying, hold on, kid. I'm a veteran here. I'm pretty much grew up in this business alongside Bryan Danielson. I have credibility here. Then you got Daniel Garcia saying, I'm here to make a name for myself and step up. Ain't nobody get to my level. I'm former TNT champion. Here we go. Power vacuum's already starting to cling in. Then Marina comes in and says, shut up. Cut the BS. We're one solid faction here under Marina's rule. And that lets Marina be both a managerial role in the top story of AEW and also lets her be a badass in the women's division. Now, if Marina is on top here, we could kind of adjust this Death Rider saga from looking at it and kind of like comparing notes to the Bloodline and shift it now to how the Judgment Day was built, especially when Rio was running shop. That's the type of Death Rider saga we could get moving forward here if Marina's sitting on top. She's the mommy that's there, and then the dynamics will start showing how Claudio could be toward Marina and how much they could build as a badass duo, Terror Twins, a la Terror Twins, with Damian and Rhea. You get that same feeling. Then at the same time, you get storylines now with Pac, Daniel Garcia, and Yuta. That is amazing to even just write on paper. If they get anywhere near making that thing happen, oh my goodness, this is a totally different fire now into the Death Rider saga. Sign me up.
Yeah, and they are telling the story of Mox's downfall. They posted a video on Instagram earlier today with kind of a couple clips of Mox tapping to Darby, and then Mox tapping to Kyle O'Reilly, and the caption said it's been a rough few months for Jon Moxley. So they are telling that story of Jon Moxley keeps losing, he keeps tapping to people, and I will see what happens on Collision tonight, but yeah, I think there'll be lowered confidence in him as the leader of the group.
So there's that piece of it. Yes, definitely. There's a piece of lower confidence in Moxley, but we also got to think, especially when you see a lot of these talents and their storylines, when they're on top and things don't go their way, what happens? Paranoia. And now we might be able to see a more paranoid Moxley all the way into that demise going down. And that's going to be fun to watch because there's a lot of stars that get to be built here.
Yeah,
Mox
it's a
better hope that
situation too, where like they sense weakness and they attack the leader, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I hope they don't bring any plastic bags to the ring. Mox better watch and see if they don't have any plastic bags.
Let's pause there. Actually, that's a good point. If Moxley and Darby's feud has insinuated arson, attempted murder, allegedly, and all these crazy, like, felony level type of brutalities, then maybe all we're waiting for is Moxley to receive that level of brutality to really say he's finished. So we may see a couple of matches here and there, but what we do need to see is a bag over Moxley's head, or his head in a bigger dunk tank, or something on fire. Or all of the above. If you do all of those above in there, then you know what? I'm gonna sit back and be like, wow, I'm mind blown. This absolute like storytelling. Everything's been peppered in early on. The stuff that didn't make sense now. And it's the biggest way for Moxley to go out in a blaze of glory. And then you could keep Moxley out for as long as possible. People will never forget him.
Yeah, you got Bully's attention with the dunk tank comment.
One other thing I wanted to point out, we talked about Sky Blue being the obvious standout of the women's match. Kyle O'Reilly was the standout of the men's match. I never expected Kyle O'Reilly to be the one that got the win for the team. I think pretty much everybody expected it to be Darby or possibly even Orange Cassidy. But Kyle O'Reilly, like, this was his time to shine. I know I tweeted it the other day, but the Undisputed Era has been a beloved faction in wrestling for so many fans. And Adam Cole has gotten his time to shine. And we saw, earlier in AEW when Roddy Strong really got his time to shine with all the Next Strong stuff and that whole storyline, which was great and made him look awesome. Yeah, I know Bobby Fish is kind of on another path. But this is, Kyle O'Reilly, he was out on injury for so long. He comes back. The dynamic between him and Mark Briscoe is absolutely amazing. And we're getting to see a lot of personality from him. He's been on every week. And this was his moment to shine. The sequence, when we rewatched it earlier, that sequence to end that match with some of the other, I'm forgetting who exactly who it was, but they put Claudio through a table so that Claudio couldn't go and help Mox. And then like Mox like rolls, and as he's rolling kind of from the one ring to the other ring, thank you, OC and Roddy. Yeah, as Mox is rolling from one ring to the other ring, Kyle O'Reilly catches him, puts the ankle lock in, then transitions to an arm bar, then transitions back to an ankle lock, and then really, really locks it in and forces Mox to tap out in glass. And then you could see, like, he looked at his hand and he was like,
yeah,
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredible.
Kyle O'Reilly go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you asked, there were two people that come to my mind when you said who were the standouts for the Blood and Guts. Sky Blue for me and Kyle O'Reilly for the men. Mm-hmm. Because Darby got taken out by that flaming table, so Kyle stepped up, and it was like Kyle went to another level by tapping out Mox, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, but with Darby, even though he's not the standout of the night, kudos to a hanging coffin drop from the top of the cage, a springboard Cody Cutter-esque coffin drop using the side of the cage, and then going through the flaming tables. That are three awesome spots from Darby. But for Kyle O'Reilly, he's the kind of star that, especially in his Ring of Honor era, he's a pressure make diamonds kind of star. If you put a story behind him where he's always behind the 8-ball and there's a lot of violence and brutality headed his way on top of the adversity, he truly, truly shines, such as his feud with Adam Cole that got Adam Cole transitioning out from like the Ring of Honor days into NXT, like how Kyle O'Reilly really shot up to the top of the card during that era was because of a feud that involved a lot of blood, submission moves, technical wrestling, and just overall the feeling and the primal need to always have that dog in you. That's what Kyle O'Reilly brought to Blood and Guts. That's what we got to see in the finish. that's what we got to see in his facial reactions as he was locked into that ankle lock. That was truly a standout night for Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all in all, it was a pretty incredible show, and I think they're continuing to give us long-term storytelling punctuated by some. We always say like AEW needs to differentiate themselves, but still honor the way that fans want to fan, right? So I think they're doing a really good job of that recently.
Yeah.
And as Andre said, there was a ton of shit that happened this week. So we're gonna jump over to probably the biggest story in WWE right now is obviously John Cena's retirement match is coming up on December 13th, and the last time is now tournament is going on. So this week we saw Rusev defeat Damian Priest, Sheamus defeated Shinsuke, Jay versus The Miz, he defeated The Miz, and LA Knight defeated Zack Ryder. Really cool to see Zack Ryder on TV. Busted Open co-host Matt.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I was a little
always
confused.
ready.
I was a little confused because Matt Cardona has been on NXT as Matt Cardona very recently, like last week.
Yeah.
So maybe they re-signed him as Zack Ryder. I don't know. There were shirts up on shop.com. I don't know what his contractual status is, but either way, I just thought it was super cool as a fan. As you know, we get to listen to him on Broski Breakdown every week. Andre, you work with the man, so it was just super cool. I was excited to see him in such a high-profile match.
At first, I was up in arms as to why they put Zack Ryder as the name, because of how many years of we've seen the indie star to the indie king to the indie god in Matt Cardona being always ready, and there's so much equity to his name right now. But it got me thinking, because I'm talking to a girl that is a lapsed wrestling fan. She watched Ruthless Aggression era, and then now recently started picking things up. And then now I'm starting to talk to her about like the different stars out there, your Nick Nemetz, your Cardonas, especially with like Cena's farewell tour. And then, when we're talking about Cardona, she's like, oh yeah, I would really like to see Zack Ryder. I'm like, oh, that's why. That makes sense. So if you're a lapsed fan, like let's say now that especially there's people in their late 20s into their mid 30s now that are starting to show their kids the wrestling that they grew up in, and they had that gap where they did not know that Zack Ryder has changed. It's a Matt Cardona, and there's been this years of rise, and they're just tuning into SmackDown and over in Albany, they see woo woo woo. They know it, bro.
Yeah.
But
We
I also
always have this idea of mixing in woo woo woo, then go to the always ready and go to the Downstate theme song, because us diehards, we would absolutely love that. Which is why I love that NXT has recently featured him. So you get that service, that fan service already taken care of. We know that something's happening in there. But for the Cena tournament, and specifically for this time only, for nostalgia's sake, you can bring back the name because it's the same guy. And it just makes people remember why this guy is coming back. It takes the why and makes it flat out, throw it in your face. Like, this is a guy that has sided with Cena. This is the guy that's climbed up the ladder. This is the guy that has seen Cena on the top, wondered where he was going. So he went on YouTube. And that's why he became internet champion. So that lore, that story you could play back in your head, especially if you've watched WWE from 2009 till about 2012.
I also think that there's an opportunity because he's been on NXT as Matt Cardona. Like you said, I think have him being part of the tournament as Zack Ryder makes sense because of the history that the character has with John Cena. But if he's signed with WWE, I would absolutely tell the story of Zack Ryder being dead. Show the story in front of the bigger audience of Zack Ryder going away and Matt Cardona emerging. Like let people see that on TV.
You're onto something there. That could be more storytelling that we do get to see if Cardona does have more time inside NXT or over on SmackDown. Because right now, SmackDown is prime spot where you could throw in any name, and especially if they've had some distance and time away from WWE, they're going to shine like a star. It's like AJ Styles walking into SmackDown in 2016. You can put them there, boom, they're going to go big. I feel that way for Joe Hendry. Throw him on SmackDown, and you work it right, you're going to go big with him. So I say why not? I say why not have that Zack Ryder name there just for that nostalgia, And then next time, when it comes to the day that SmackDown needs that star, you're not seeing Zack Ryder, you're seeing Matt Cardona. And they've already explained to you why. They've gotten your idea front row, placed it in to our program brains, so that when he does take the spotlight on SmackDown, we know he's there for a mission.
Yeah. I'm hoping he signed. I mean, the guy's worked so friggin' hard over the last 5 years to build a brand. He's bigger, more successful. He's done such an incredible job on the indies and then in all the different places he's been in with NWA and TNA and all these different things, GCW, of course. I think the guy's earned it. It's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only reason why I know what GCW is, and now I'm a fan of it and watch it as often as I possibly can. So I saw the clip. I watched the clip earlier because I wasn't watching SmackDown on Friday because I was watching TNA. And so I also was kind of surprised that it was Zack Ryder, but we know that he's a very, very smart businessman. So, I gotta really just have faith in him that, with all the information that he got with the decision that he had to make, that he made the right decision. I'm so happy to see him back. He really, really fucking deserves it. Like you said, front row, he's worked so hard the last 5 years. It's insane. We've all followed his journey and seen him on so many various indies. I love the guy. I literally almost I chose to wear this shirt because I wanted to wear something that tied into AEW Blood and Guts, but I literally did almost wear my Not There shirt. Remember when he first got fired in 2020 and he released that shirt that just said Not There? I haven't worn it in a while because it was before they started offering the really, really soft cotton shirts, so it's a little bit uncomfortable, but I almost wore that shirt, but I chose this one instead. But yeah, I'm happy for him. It's just awesome. He's such a hard worker and he's so good at what he does.
I do have a theory for you I want to roll off. So we got to see LA Knight versus Zack Ryder. Who won that match?
Well,
LA Knight.
Yeah. So would it hurt more if it was LA Knight versus Matt Cardona and LA Knight won? Would that hurt Matt Cardona more?
That's a good point. Probably. It would probably be more damaging
to say Zack Ryder's there for the nostalgia. You get LA Knight victorious over Zack Ryder, which is not going to hurt the Matt Cardona name. And if they do have anything big planned for him, at least this tournament doesn't get in the way of Matt Cardona. It presents Zack Ryder.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's so much stuff coming up with this tournament. So this week we're going to see Javon Evans versus Gunther, which love Javon Evans, but that's gonna go.
I love Gunther. I love his dominance, but there's something in my gut that's telling me, don't count Javon out yet. That is the ultimate underdog story to tell.
Yeah.
The most dominating and towering of heels against this new up-and-comer that could shock the world. You know what this match could be? This match could be Razor Ramon against 1-2-3 Kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Andre,
I've heard that suggested a lot across different shows and podcasts.
What does Sam call Gunther? The no fun guy.
The no fun guy.
Right? Javon's going to come in and try to do some high-flying shit, and Gunther's just going to plant him into the ground and walk away. That's not going to be
fun.
I'm really excited for that. I want to see springboard them. Pah!
Bam! Yep, no fun guy.
Yes. So what's funny to me with this tournament is, as soon as Cena announced the tournament and he said, he wanted to give somebody a similar opportunity that he had when he was introduced against Kurt Angle. And and so when he said that, and I remember even Sam saying it on his show, that okay, this is going to be some younger talent, some up and comers, some NXT, maybe even somebody who doesn't work here. And I think even Sam said, well, immediately with all the announcements of who's the initial matches, well, that went out the window. Bracket is destroyed. And so that's what's funny to me, but it does make up for some great matches, and everybody has some sort of history with Cena. So it is fun, but yeah, it's not quite what we initially expected.
I did
But
not
whatever.
expect the possibility of Penta versus Cena. But now that that's out there in the open, you know what? I could side with that. Imagine Cero Miedo, and I got on the other side that you can't see me. That is, it's
Well,
gonna
okay.
go around.
Okay,
Okay,
so
there's a lot of crowd service that could come with this match.
So let me ask you then. So Penta is set to face Finn Balor in this round. I can definitely make a case for either guy moving on in the tournament, but Penta's my choice because I don't think he's not seen his last opponent, obviously, but I think he goes further down the road.
Maybe semifinals is as far as Penta goes in my bracket. I haven't drawn it out yet because I know that the moment I draw it out, I just have to like crumble it, throw it out because here's another name that just comes
Yeah.
in. So mental brackets here. Yeah, Penta as a semifinalist for me. It will extremely shock me if he ends up in the finals, but that match will be gold.
So the 4 matches that are left in the first round of the tournament, Javon versus Gunther, we figured Gunther's going to win, right? Solo versus a mystery opponent. Unless that mystery opponent is some legend, Solo's moving on. Even if it's like a Joe Hendry or somebody that will get a nice spotlight, but they're not going to beat Solo Sikoa.
I do not
Carmelo-
think it will be Joe Hendry, by the way.
I don't either. I think he's going to get another spotlight somewhere else, somewhere in the
All
run
right.
here.
All
You want my
right, all
tinfoil
right.
on this one? I'm thinking this Monday, Madison Square Garden, Intercontinental title open challenge. Then say his name, he appears, and now we're all believing in Joe Hendry.
Mm.
I fully agree with that. However, someone called into Busted Open this morning with Mark Henry and Scott Stanford. Great show, by the way.
Yes.
Someone called in and said, what if it's Matt Cardona? Because we just saw Zack Ryder in the tournament, but that was Zack Ryder. That was not Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona could come out on Monday Night Raw against Cena.
And
That would be
that's
funny.
why Zack Ryder showed up in New York State so that Matt Cardona can show up in New York City. That's the trick behind Matt Cardona.
I would be shocked if they used up 2 spots for one guy, but it would be interesting. There was another caller on Busted Open this morning that called in with the what if it's Killer Cross?
I don't see that happening.
It would be cool though.
I just don't. It would be cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
I just
But
don't
then-
see that happening.
I don't
But
see
then
it
you have to
happening.
lose to Solo.
Don't want it happen,
Right.
but I kind of need that to happen. If you need the right type of momentum to put on like Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and you really want them to be cemented as a top star, not babyface or heel, they can do either or, but just flat out a star, being the one to possibly retire John Cena. I think that is one hell of an accolade to give Karrion Kross, and he's earned it.
Yeah.
Yep, he's ready for that top spot, and there is a cult following for that to happen. I say roll with it. Let him be one of these surprises that do come in. Let him sweep the tournament. Your final is Karrion Kross against Gunther for the honor of retiring John Cena.
I mean, that would be incredible, but I still don't see it happening.
Yeah, likelihood very low, but if that's something on the table, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard because the majority of the names on this list I look at and I go, I don't really see a lot of these people being the final opponent. So maybe the mystery person is like a Jericho or a big name or somebody that we just haven't really considered yet. It's going to be
All right,
interesting.
I just gotta
for sure.
say, y'all in the chat are getting too much like that. No, stop it.
Bastion Booger.
No.
What?
I mean,
No.
Cena versus Sting hasn't happened. Mania, what? We could set that up for Mania 43.
Mongrovian's trying to get me to rant about Goldberg again. That's all.
That sounds about right.
But Gunther did retire Goldberg, so we could safely say that. I know that wrestling is a very never say never type of industry, but we could safely put into the storytelling bookmark here that Gunther already retired Goldberg, and if Gunther's in this tournament, then we don't need Goldberg, please.
Right.
Mongrovian's on one tonight. Stop it.
Oh,
Just stop it.
Big shock, big surprise, right? If
Yeah.
if they end up doing that in New York City, I don't know how the New York crowd will take it, but
Yeah.
hey, that's an anything's possible kind of experience.
Insert prices wrong. Soundbite right here.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be Ridge Holland. Like, just,
Beer.
That is another storyline
Veer.
that has been set up, and
Veer's
we never
coming.
saw the
Veer's
payoff
coming.
to it. Yeah, Veer could be coming.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Oh
you have
my
to say that's
God.
quite a cult now. You have to think of it, right? Years ago, a group of believers have come together to say that Veer is coming, and they stayed believing even though nothing actually happened. Now, what if Veer is coming? Hope,
Yeah.
hope he comes with beer, but like, yes, I'd be down for that.
The Veer truck?
We need one of those, man.
Hang on.
All right, mark this down. I know that within the next 5 years or 7 years, this might happen. Dirty Dom beer truck moment.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Dirty Dom because that was where I was going along the Cena line. Like, man, the promo that they had on Monday, Dirty Dom stepping up to Cena, and he didn't flinch. That dude acted like he had been on that level for his entire life, as opposed to like just a few years. What he did, most people couldn't do. And we heard a lot of the hosts on Busted Open say, man, that's a spotlight. A lot of people will shrink from that. And he absolutely crushed it. And then to go out there and obviously lose, but like he has this massive match with John Cena, one of his few final matches. Dom's the future. He just is.
Yes.
And I'm so excited to see what he's doing. I mean, he was booed because it was Cena in Boston, of course, but like for the most part, he's a babyface now. He's just a well-liked heel, and everything he
guy.
does is entertaining. People love working with him, in the ring and stuff. I was so impressed with what he did on Monday. It was insane to be in that spot and to just stand and didn't flinch. He stared daggers through John Cena, which is kind of hard to do.
I would like to emphasize on that because let's think of it of us fans. When we go to meet and greets, especially me, I have when we talk about wrestling, when we watch wrestling, I'm perfectly fine. When it comes to meeting wrestlers and find this as weird as you can for where I work, but I get nervous and shook as hell whenever there's a time to meet a wrestler. Like when it comes to meet and greets and going to wrestling conventions, I'll just end up being nervous myself if I'm around a wrestler that, especially if I'm emotionally invested in. So imagine being Dom Mysterio. Imagine this is the guy that when he was 8 years old, he's seeing these guys as the top of the company, the legends, right? And then now he's thrown into a position where he has to treat them like he's above them. And he has to exude from his, he doesn't have a 20-year experience on him where he knows how to take heat from one place and just radiate otherwise. This is raw, this is new, this is prime. And Dom was able to keep his chin up, eat all the babyface moments in there, eat all those nerves, eat everything that's going in his head, and his pure export, heat.
Yeah.
Unimaginable heat, especially in Boston.
Yes.
That is quite a feat.
I have a quick point to make, and then I want to go to Tony. I'm glad I watched. I don't normally watch Raw, but I definitely wanted to see Cena's last night in Boston, so I decided to watch. And I'm glad I did because I couldn't have been happier with the way the whole thing went down. I love Dominic. Dirty Dom's neck tattoo is fucking amazing. And do you know what neck tattoos mean? World Championship material.
World Championship. Yep.
So that's
she went on a rabbit hole here. I would like to share this. This is something really important now, right? I am a big person when it comes to these weird rituals and traditions, streaks, and all that stuff, right? But the neck tattoo. We've recently thought that this is a Cody Rhodes new tradition that if you end up getting a neck tattoo, it leads to a major push. And yes, we've seen that with Jey Uso. We've seen that with so many guys already. And now Dirty Dom's got it. But the OG of this, the original person, is not Cody Rhodes. You got to rewind further back 20 years. Undertaker was doing American Badass stuff for a while. He was doing tag teams here and there by the early 2000s. Then the guy gets a neck tattoo. The legend ends up getting a name on his throat, and then eventually finds its way to expand on the neck all the way up till 2007. What happened 2007? Well, that was WrestleMania 23. Takes the title from Batista. I'm still pissed about it. Even though they did have Revolution, but that's just the 10-year-old in me that'll always be like forever clinging on to that feud. But Undertaker ends up being world champion. That is where I think this neck tattoo tradition started. Now, if there's anybody that knows that this tradition has other places in the world where it's happened, or there's other stars prior to the Ruthless Aggression era or prior to Undertaker that has done it, then I would love to learn. But as far back as we can go, I think Undertaker is the one that was the first to go with the neck.
I think so.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, wasn't that they were talking about that with Ilya Dragunov, right? Gets a neck tattoo.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, another
There
one.
you go.
Yep.
Tony?
Proven fact.
Back to Dom. When he came out, and of course, does his thing in the ring. He's getting booed. Yes, he's getting booed because he's in Boston, because it was a crowd of green shirts just a sea of green shirts in that crowd.
And green shirt guy.
Yeah, yeah. Again, but yeah. So he was his confidence standing there in front of Cena, just like you said, Andre, with his head just tilted up, and he's chewing that gum, and he's not letting anything faze him, and he's just, he was handling that thing like he's been doing this for a long time, right? And it's just amazing, and we got to see that match. And that was one of the opponents that we were hoping to see, was Dom versus Cena, and we saw it. So, and it was an excellent match. Yes, Dom, lost the championship, and there's some things I've been hearing, different, people. I think even you, Andre, on one of the shows, talking about the possibilities of us seeing a match between Dom and Rey Mysterio Jr. in San Diego at Survivor Series, and how we get the title off of Cena if Rey answers an open challenge and wins the title. Then we see a title match at Survivor Series between Rey and Dom. That would be awesome. In San Diego, in the 619.
Do it for the 619.
I do think that a Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio match, if they go back to that, that's a longer term story, and that's a WrestleMania match for me. I love your theory, but to me, that's a Mania match.
Right.
I feel like it's the right place, right time for it. It could be a Mania match, makes it the trilogy, right? Because they had Dom versus Rey Mania 39. Then now you got Dom Rey in their hometown here. Then Dom and Rey Vegas for Mania next year. So the thread could be there. I'm just hoping that this Intercontinental title that Cena is holding somehow keeps its way out of Dom and Rey for the meantime. Why? As much as I would like to see father versus son for the Intercontinental title, why not elevate a belt even further? Why not bring AAA and build AAA up with this feud here, where you have the greatest luchador of all time going up against who could be the greatest luchador of any era, anywhere, anytime, any era, for the biggest world championship in lucha, which is AAA's mega championship. So now, father versus son reignited, that Intercontinental title we could save for Mania when Dirty Dom finds his way back into it. That could be a Dom versus Rey for the IC title thing happening. And if I'm not mistaken, Rey hasn't won the Intercontinental Championship yet, or has he?
I think he has.
Or if he had like one short-lived time in the 2010s or something like that. But now you could put it where it's father versus son for the AAA title, build up AAA, then you'll have more different outlets for that to grow on. And then you bring back this feud, reignite it, come Rumble, work its way to Mania, get it, and then that's where we could figure out if the Intercontinental title does find its way back to Dirty Dom, which I think it should. If at any point that we have to name the main person who's going to hold that title into WrestleMania, it should be Dirty Dom. So we got that piece of the puzzle in between. How does it get out of Cena and into Dirty Dom's hands? I have no clue. But if Gunther is the most likely name thrown out there and it's no fun Gunther, it'll be pretty cool to see Dirty Dom pull a fast one out of Gunther.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be super fun to see how everything plays out. I did want to touch on TNA briefly, but before we do, I want to give a shout out to someone who I think has been doing amazing work. And if you haven't seen the Chris Van Vliet interview or heard the interview that he did with Maxine Dupree, it's incredible. And she's been working her ass off, spending all her free time at Flatbacks with Sean Spears and Tyler Breeze, and also over at the Dungeon. She's working her ass off. And now, so this week she's got, this match coming up with Becky Lynch, which is, I would put the title on her, honestly. Like it's for Becky's title. So I would do it at this point. You can make another star. Becky doesn't need the title. She's a heel. So,
Yeah.
But I did want to shift over to TNA because we all watch TNA. Like they've had such a great product over the last couple of years. And Thursday night we were watching, and shockingly, like Frankie Kazarian cashes in his Collier shot, or his half of the Collier shot cup, and takes the title off of Mike Santana, who just won like a month ago. They have no TVs for like 3 or 4 weeks, whatever it was. Now they have a live show, and he loses the title. So immediately we start thinking, is he injured? Like, what's going on? Why would they take the title off him so quickly? I have no clue. I mean, I don't work there. What do I know? But we were angry. Like the whole group was so.
We were dumbfounded.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck just happened? Wait a minute.
So 10 minutes before Bust Open After Dark went live, I'm on with Jonathan Hood, and the main event starts. And we're like, oh, straight up, easy peasy. Mike Santana is going to get a nice victory here. Nick Nemeth might show up, but nothing crazy. We both looked at each other and said, yeah, this is going to be an easy night for Santana. Then we go live, and I believe that Impact went over for about like 2-3 minutes, give or take. Mm-hmm. So while that's happening, live in studio now, Bust Open After Dark's live, but from the corner of my eye, I'm seeing like a lot of craziness and shenanigans happening. I'm seeing like 4 guys just pounding down. And then in my head, I'm thinking, wait, this is a singles match. What happened here? Next thing you know, Frankie Kazarian comes out. Then I'm in a state of pure shock. And then like Jonathan Hood's trying to get the groove and things going of the show. And I'm chatting him like, I don't know how to tell you this, but yeah, that Santana match you're saying that was supposed to be easy peasy. Well, Kaz is champion now. And like Jonathan Hood's in a state of shock. You can actually go on Busted Open social media, scroll through there. There's a video of Jonathan Hood in a pure state of shock there with me as we were just trying to process, like, how, why, like, where did this go? Like, what's the decision made? Because Mike Santana was only on camera as champion on TNA programming for 2 hours. And that 2 hours is saying a lot. It's more like, like a promo at the start of the show and off to the main event. Then prior to that, we spent weeks celebrating his like big victory and another cherry, like not cherry on top. I wish this was a cherry on top, but another nail to or another thorn on my side to why I'm so pent up and frustrated about it is in my hands right now are my ticket stubs. One was over in Long Island for Slammiversary. The other is for Bound for Glory. I rode along this Mike Santana story since March. The moment that there was an organic swell for Mike Santana, I just knew that, okay, I'm going to subscribe to this guy. I've been seeing him for the longest time in TNA since the LAX days, and I'm saying it's about damn time. And then they finally put the belt on him, and now my explanation of this whole story has lasted longer than what we've seen Mike Santana's title reign has been.
Exactly.
So even though Santana's title reign, if you're going to count it, is about a month and a week, there is a good 40 days of him being champion. He won early October, but aside from maybe 1 or 2 appearances on NXT, there wasn't really any buzz with his title run. And hey, if it's because of how TNA schedules their stuff, and it is by default that they cannot do those 2 weeks live or have a taped episode, I totally understand that. But why on the first night back you take the title away from him, and then you throw on a pay-per-view / PLE event the next day, and then throw even more like shenanigans on top of this story that I'm already in shock in, where okay, now you got Nick Nemitz call your shot that didn't even get called into the whole picture of it, and then now Kazarian's champion. Like, I am so confused, frustrated even, because like this is a big storyline, man. Like, you can't stop a storyline where someone was taking the opportunity of becoming champion away in that crowd that was electric for him, to give us that proper build, to get the fans reinvested in him, to get that build, to get you to Bound for Glory, which is the biggest show of the calendar. And indeed, they delivered. Lowell, Massachusetts was electric that night, to get him back on top. Then for finally the payoff, the celebration time, the time to say, okay, I'm a fighting champion. I'm a proud Puerto Rican from New York City. I'm here to represent. Who is stepping up? And then that could lead to a line of your Leon Slaters, Javon Evans, anyone from the system. JDC's last match could be chasing for the title. You could throw all that in there. Gone. It has a champion. And what's next? I have no clue.
There has to be a good reason for it. Tony, what do you think's next?
Well, lost in all this, frustration with Santana not being the champion is the fact that Frankie Kazarian is the champion for whatever reason, but he has earned that championship. Years of being in TNA, and I'm happy to see the belt on Kaz. It just sucks from the circumstances on how it happened. And then, go back to Bound for Glory when you had the call your shot gauntlet winners. And that was we were scratching our heads then going, what? So we have to
was chanting BS on that. We were going, bull. Yeah, the NXT version, when you're in NXT, you can't hear the whole thing. So you're hearing bull.
Yeah.
But you're loud about it.
Yeah. We just have to think, hey, okay, so there's something brewing. But we've been saying this ever since March. We've been saying, okay, something's brewing. Something's brewing. We just have to be patient. You're really testing your fans' patience when you keep doing stuff like this. We're kind of, we've been through a lot with TNA. So, and Impact, and you're really testing our patience. So I'm hoping that whatever is going to happen, I hope it was worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's testing patience or it's the opposite on this one, because if all the circumstances that happened Thursday night happened at the week of Final Resolution, where there's been 1 month where you at least get to see Santana throw down and roll up as world champion and run the house for a little bit, let us feel that victory is well earned, then it would have been fine. But it's just the timing of it. I love that Kazarian's finally the top guy. Long overdue, by the way. But it's just the timing. The timing is absolutely messy on this one, especially that we just went through a yes movement for Santana.
Yeah. It definitely feels like there's. Go ahead, Deb. Sorry.
So for me personally, I've been the one preaching on this show, for the last 2 years. Like, watch TNA. It's the greatest show of the week that is not getting enough attention. And for me personally, I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, because as a TNA fan, I'm just seeing a lot of things happening that are unfortunately, making me lose interest. Like, I totally understand the business part of it, the partnership with NXT is obviously getting a ton more eyes on the product, and that's their goal, towards a new TV deal, and WWE fans are becoming interested because there's a WWE and NXT presence on the show. I totally get that. But just for me personally, I'm not interested at all in seeing these NXT mid-carders week after week after week after week after week looking strong against the top talent in TNA. Week after week, it's making TNA look like they're a level below not even the top talent in NXT. I could understand if it was Trick that came out last night. Trick is one of the top talents in NXT. I could understand if it was him that came out, but it was all these other guys that, for me, as not a loyal NXT viewer, I know Lexis King, obviously, and I know Charlie Dempsey, but the other guys, I was like, well, who is this? I don't even know who these guys are. And they're coming out and looking massively strong against the best that TNA has to offer.
That's the key part.
And the only run-ins that we get from the TNA roster is the Hardys. Where's the rest of the roster? Why weren't they coming out? And it just feels like TNA is being made to look like lower than NXT mid-card. And as a TNA fan, I am not okay with that. And one more thing, and then we'll go to whoever wants to talk next. We've said it with AEW that a lot of people, weren't interested in certain storylines that have been happening the last, couple of years. And finally, they're starting to get some interest back with what's going on in AEW. But with AEW, my interest level as a sicko didn't drop, but obviously a lot of other people's did. And, a lot of other people were saying the storylines are happening, but if I'm not interested in the storyline that's happening, I'm not interested in watching the show. And that's what I'm fearing is happening with a lot of TNA fans, specifically for TNA, is yes, the storyline is happening with this NXT takeover, and it's been some sort of an invasion for months now, and we're not seeing the TNA comeback part of that invasion. But if you're not interested in the storyline that's happening, you're less interested in watching the show. And that's just what I'm feeling as a TNA fan.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that, because I feel like, and we've been saying this for a while, I'm very much for the partnership. I think it's a much better back and forth. Both parties are benefiting from it from a business standpoint. But I agree with you. The storylines are sort of lackluster because it does feel like they're recycling this invasion thing. But right now, for example, over in WWE, Sheamus was on Busted Open this morning. Great interview, by the way. If you missed it, go check it out.
Yes.
He was awesome.
Yes.
And he talked about hey, I'm doing these dark matches. I'm doing these Fleur-de-loops with NXT just to get some reps in, but also to, lend some of his, his veteran knowledge to the younger people. I have wanted to see main roster stars on TNA. I mean, I understand the partnership is between the two brands. I get it. I understand that. But to your point, if it's a partnership, then we need to see more star power from WWE on TNA programming. I don't mind.
AJ one-off.
Yeah, and that was fine. That was cool. But I mean, it was a one-off. I mean, I want to see some big name people show up. So. But I'll agree with you. And the NXT portion of it, the storylines have really died down as well. I miss the days where we saw a lot of the black and gold stuff where the storylines were very compelling. I do think this is a better era of NXT than the 2.0 as far as character development goes. And the athleticism is fucking insane, especially in the women's division in NXT. So I don't necessarily mind that overlap, but I agree with you. I need to see Charlotte Flair on TNA. I need to see a big name over there. I want to see something going on.
So I will say along those lines, AJ Styles was on a podcast. I even think it was maybe O'Shea's podcast, because I saw something about it on Twitter, where basically he said that he would love to have his last match at TNA, but basically implied that he's not allowed to. That main roster talent are not allowed to be on TNA, that it's only NXT talent that's going to TNA.
That's the partnership. That's
Yeah.
the business deal. So
Yeah.
it is what it is. Okay, guys, it's after 8. I know everybody wants to get their snacks and get watching. Collision's on now, right?
Yes, and it
Okay.
is a 3-hour special tonight. We have, it's really quick before we go because you mentioned Collision. High on World, or not High on World. What am I saying? High on and Maya World are on Collision tonight, facing Rio and Alex Windsor. So it's 3 weeks in a row for High on and Maya World on Collision. So kudos to them for putting in the work and getting noticed. But I think it's going to be a great show tonight, following up Blood and Guts.
Yeah, and I have had the opportunity to work with Maya World at Mission Pro, and she is awesome. She is super, super professional. She's an incredible performer, and she's got big stuff in her future. I'm excited for her. Along those lines, I want to recommend a couple of things. I do want to recommend the Stephanie McMahon, Paul Heyman interview. Those interviews are great because they're completely uncensored. There's no language barriers. There's no nothing. And you get Paul Heyman completely out of character and just talking to his friend, which is, I've never seen that type of interview with him. I've seen him do out of character stuff, but this was like them literally telling personal stories, and it had very little to do with like the storylines in business. It's really interesting. So check it out.
Yeah.
By the way,
Anything
House of Glory is on right now, and that's pretty star-studded as well. That is
Right.
Mercedes Moné against Phoenix Diana. Nick Nemetz there
Yes.
as well performing. Shotzi and Scarlett Bordeaux, I think, I have a match against each other. Karrion Kross is there. Shayna Baszler, Maki Ito, and Priscilla Kelly, to name a few. So that's a stacked card tonight in House of Glory over in Brentwood, New York.
That's on Triller.
I think so.
I think so.
I believe so. I believe
Okay.
they are part
Well-
of Triller Plus.
Who's to say?
Who's
It's a maybe.
A plus.
At best.
I didn't doubt. Yeah, Triller Plus.
Yeah.
Deb, where can people find you on the socials?
I'm at That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine. I know John hates when I like put my hand up and I'm like pointing exactly at the right spot immediately. I'm at That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine, the Instagram, the Blue Sky, all those places.
And Tony, where are you from?
You can find me at Tony Justice, AJFA. And if you're a Metallica fan like I know all of us are, you know what that means. Ooh!
Oh yeah.
Nice. Andre?
And you can find me, instead of doing these points and everything, let me do the good old Triple H finger point right here.
Nice.
Giant on X, Andre the
Nice.
Freaky Giant on Instagram.
Nice. And we appreciate you jumping on with us tonight.
Yes.
You can find me at Front Row, at PW Front Row across all the socials. You can find us on X and Blue Sky at Nation's Corner and The Nation's Corner on all of our other socials. Folks, appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Have a good week. Go enjoy some wrestling.